And we're back, guys. Tennis in a minute. I'm your host, Good Energy. I give you the rundown on tennis coverage every day. Now, listen, guys, I was in the middle of doing some videos for today's matches, but again, the Coco topic, it's been on fire. And look, we're just going to continue with the conversation here, okay? The topic of discussion. Why does Coco continue to be disrespected, okay? And we are going to touch on that in a minute. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of today's scores. Now, Shramkova takes out Katie Bolter, the Brit. Now, listen, guys, I had Shramkova winning this match as a underdog. She's just a solid clay player. Look, Katie Bolter, look, I say this all the time. You never know when it comes together for you. You never know what surface might be the surface. And look, Osaka said this. She said she's got to be like Yelena Ostapenko and just go stick with her guns, right? Because Yelena will tell you that clay now is probably one of her better surfaces, but going into that French Open where she won it, she wasn't thinking that. And the same with Marketa Vondrousova. She said, look, she said, I would have never thought I would have won Wimbledon. She's like, I don't like grass. It's not my favorite surface. And Katie Bolter, she's just not that experienced on clay. But again, she didn't really like grass, even though she grew up 30 minutes down the street from Nottingham. She won that last year. And listen, guys, look, very good match here. Shamkova, I'm happy for her. She actually came through qualifiers and she took out Katie Bolter. That was the easy lock, underdog of the day. And Katie Bolter, she's got power. And look, she's starting to get pretty good now. Look, when your boyfriend's a top elite ATP player, I better see the improvements. I did not see the improvements with Paula Badosa. And sure enough, I said, look, when she breaks up, watch her start winning again, because I thought a lot of her struggles, yes, she documented the back injuries, but she looks fine now. I thought a lot of her struggles were really on the mental side and what she was going through emotionally. But Katie Bolter, huge fan. She is out. What about Mer Sharif? That's guys never bring sand to the beach from Egypt. She takes out Jasmine Pellini. And look, Mayer has a good run during the clay stretch. She's Mare, if you ever had the opportunity to meet her, she's strong. She's big, guys. And when I saw Coco destroy, look, I'm sorry, Mare, I gotta be honest here. When I saw Coco destroy Mare, Mare is big. She is a big woman, guys. Coco is a small woman. She's a young lady. Coco is average size. She's tiny. And you say Mare, who's so big. When I saw Coco destroy Sharif, I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, I feel scared for Coco. They are so strong and physical. Coco destroyed her. But nonetheless, Mayar destroys Jasmine Pellini, and Jasmine's tiny. You know, she's like very short. Jasmine's like, I don't know, maybe 5'4", but she's so fast and explosive. Go watch that short I did the other day with Jasmine Pellini just covering the ball. She literally outran the camera. That's how fast she is. When I tell you guys my fastest players, they are the fastest players. Coco, Jasmine, they're super duper fast. Now, if you missed this match, Pellini had the opportunity, guys. Well, actually, she broke back down the stretch. All she had to do was hold to extend this match. She shaved several match points, but Mayar Sharif would break Pellini to close this match out. The fans here in Rome, they were cheering so loud for Pellini. This was popcorn worthy. I don't know, I think the match ended like 11 o'clock at night or something like that. Amazing match, but Pellini's out. And just a quick look here at round three. Sakari is going to take on Angelina Kilina. And we have Azarenka taking on Mayar Sharif. That's going to be a good match. Now, I wanted to really give a quick rundown of today's matches, but we're going to go back to talking about Coco because, again, guys, look, no script. I talk about what I know. I watch so much tennis. It's embedded in my brain. So it's like, listen, guys, if anyone have experience in the stock market with, calls and puts and options, right? You know you need an options account to do these types of things, right? You can't just, open a, you know, uh, an online account and start dealing with options. You need an options account, which means you need a certain amount of money in your account to be able to do this type of stuff. So when you're experienced with something and you see someone telling something or saying something that's not true, you when you have experience with certain things, you can call someone out on that, right? You know, if and anyone familiar with real estate, you know, there's a lot of real estate gurus out here. There's a lot of, stock experts out here. You know, there's a lot of people claiming to be experts in a lot of different things. And, you know, when you have experience and the proper knowledge, you can call people out and say that's not true. And what's happening a lot with this Coco situation is a lot of people, they're listening to these bloggers and these people that just they want to get stories, and you know, they want to get likes and views. And I say this all the time, look, I don't do this for likes and views. I don't do it for money. If I did, I wouldn't been covering so many challenger and 125 events that I know people aren't going to tune in and watch, right? I do this because I enjoy the sport. And when I see people just writing these stories that aren't true and they're on the blog saying all the stuff that isn't true. I mean, you have people that literally that I see focus on ATP. They're coming in now. They're starting because the WTA is starting to heat up, right? We're taking it to new heights. And I'm telling you guys, in 3 to 5 years, the WTA, it's going to be like the WNBA. People are going to be tuning in like Serena Williams 2.0 is back, and that's going to be Coco. But listen, guys, by the way, Coco said she doesn't want to be Serena, right? She doesn't want that type of pressure. But listen, guys, when you see these writers and these YouTube content creators just putting out gibberish and garbage and spitting facts or spitting lies that they claim to be facts, and people start to believe this stuff because no one sits back and watches every match like me, right? So they rely on a lot of these people to come on the internet and say stuff, and you know, these writers and journalists to write stuff, and they start to believe this stuff. So we have to set the record straight because a lot of people don't know. You know, I'm reading this one comment and I started to respond. I'm like, I'm just going to do a video. I don't have time to write and correct all of these lies when people, they just don't know what they're talking about, you know, and they claim to be Coco's fans. You're not a Coco fan if you're spewing nonsense about Coco on the internet, right? So the reality here is, you know, there's been a lot of topics with the Coco discussion. I can't address all of them. I'll address a few. So what people don't realize is, listen, guys, there are several different types of level tournaments throughout the year. We have WTA 250s, we have 500s, we have the master events, we have the slam events, right? And we even have 125K events. Now, in terms of a 250 event, the WTA, they do monitor the top players enrolling in the WTA 250 events. They want these top tier athletes, top 20, the top 10 players playing in the slams for sure, the 1000s for sure, and the 500s. They don't want them playing in WTA 250 tournaments all throughout the season. So they monitor the stars that enroll in these tournaments. And Dasha said, she said, look, she doesn't think the WTA should prevent players from playing in 250s. If they want to play in the 250, they should let them. But listen, the 250s, the 125, they have to be the opportunity for players that are outside the top 100 to gain a little bit of points. When you're outside the top 100, 50 points can go a long way. But if you win a WTA 250 and you get 250 points, and you want to be a top 10 player, or you want to hold on to a top 10 or top 20 ranking, that's not going to do anything, okay? When you're an elite player, like for example, Emma Navarro recently played a 125K, right? Top 20 player, right? Now she's just outside the top 20. I think she's like maybe 22, right? She's trying to catch Madison Keys, and I talked about this. She's trying to catch Madison Keys for possibly the 4th spot for the Olympics, right? If she were to have won that tournament in Spain for 125 points, that would not have done nothing, okay? She needs, 400 points to catch Madison Keys? And here's the problem. She can only gain 125 from there. Madison literally does not have to play at all. She doesn't have to play. She's here playing Rome, by the way, but she doesn't have to play Rome or the French Open. And Emma Navarro would still need to pick up 250 plus points. Now, 300 plus points to catch Madison Keys. That's not an easy thing to do. So let's say there was a 250 tournament. She would have to win that entire tournament and then go deep in the French Open, you know, at least get out of the second round. That's a lot of matches to just gain 300 to 400 points. You're not going to be an elite athlete by playing WTA 250 tournaments. In particular, Coco Gauff, she's got what, 7,300 points, something like that, give or take, right? 7,300 points. Sabalenka's got 7,500 points. Coco's 200 points behind Sabalenka. Now, if Elena Rybakina would have closed the deal and served out the match, one of the best servers on tour, Coco would be number 2. Even with that said, Coco can have a deep run here in Rome, which I think she will, and she'll still be number 2. Sabalenka struggled today against Katie Volynets, right? So for you to be a top tier player, you will not climb the rankings by playing WTA 250 events or winning WTA 250 events. If you want to be a top 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 player, you have to win Masters and Slams. It's as simple as that. Okay. So for people thinking that Coco, for some reason, is where she's at by playing 250s, you're wrong. The only 250 she played this year is the one she won. And for someone talking about she hasn't beat a top 20 player this year, that's incorrect. You're not a Coco fan if you're going to come in the comments and put out lies. And those are the type of people where you shouldn't be here because you're creating drama and you're saying stuff that isn't true. Svitolina, she beat in that tournament, top 20 player. Emma Navarro, she beat in that tournament, top 20 player. She beat Marta Kostyuk the following tournament in Australia. Marta's a top 20 player. Coco Gauff consistently gets the toughest draws. And if you think otherwise, you are not watching tennis, okay? You don't know what you're talking about. How many times has Iga been in Coco's draw? Simona Halep, Naomi Osaka, okay? Even before Serena was going out, she was thrown in her draws. Why? Because she's a big star. They want to see the star power generate revenue for the sport. Coco's always had the toughest schedules. You want to talk about schedules and lack thereof? Take a look. And look, I love Sabalenka, but a lot of people, they don't watch tennis. So they say so many things that are inaccurate and they have no idea what is actually going on. Take a look at Sabalenka's run at the Australian Open. By the way, if you didn't know, Coco won the U.S. Open by having to go through 3 Slam champions and 2 other Hall of Famers. The next big thing in tennis, Mira Andreeva. And listen, guys, Sabalenka, her first 2 matches was against qualifiers. Her first 2 matches in a Slam was against qualifiers. Her next match was against someone that boycotted the previous 2 meetings and has said she doesn't want to play her and she's not going to play her. Wins that match easily because she's not playing. Her next match was against a player ranked 500, just coming back, not in form. The match after that was against a player coming off of an injury that we all know was not in form because she was injured. Easy win. How many top 20 players has Sabalenka played this year? How many top 20 players has she beat this year? How many top 10 players has she beat this year? Well, she won the Australian Open by having to defeat Coco Gauff, who literally, if you watch the match, you saw how, and this is why if you're not watching the matches, you have to refrain from just echoing what these journalists and these biased people are writing because a lot of it's not true. If you're not watching the matches, you have to be careful on the opinions you have because you can't just type what you're hearing from other people. You have to watch the match. Anyone that watched that match at the Australian Open semifinal between Coco and Aryna Sabalenka, you clearly saw Coco just embarrass Sabalenka for most of that match. She's coming towards the net. She doesn't know what to do. She looks amateurish. She's making so many mistakes. She's slamming her racket. She's getting frustrated. Coco lost the match on her own racket with her own double fault. She's getting too complacent. She's getting too comfortable. And she's still showing that she's young. She's giving these matches away. She's not losing these matches because she's getting outplayed or beat. She's beating herself. So you want to talk about how great Coco is? Well, let me give you the actual facts because people are not watching tennis and they have no freaking dare. Coco's got more wins than Sabalenka this year. Okay, guys, in case you don't know, Coco has more wins than Sabalenka on the season. Oh, but she's having this awful season because you're not watching the matches. So not only does Coco have more wins than Sabalenka this season, she only has one more loss than Sabalenka, who came close to tying Coco if she didn't beat Katie Volynets today. But in case you're not familiar of the 7 losses that Coco has on the season, 5 of them have come to elite players, top 20 players, ladies and gentlemen. Madison Keys, top 20 player. Coco Gauff lost that match in 3 sets, but you're going to notice a theme here on how good Coco is. She was up in the 3rd set. She was up a break. All she had to do was hold serve. She would have won the match. Caroline Garcia, top 20 player. Miami, 3 sets. Coco was up in the 3rd set, a break. All she had to do was hold on. She would have won the match. Zachary, the Greek goddess, went 3 sets in the Indian Wells. She was up for most of that match. All she had to do was hold serve. She would have won that match. Arena Sabalenka, number 2 in the world, out hustled her for most of that match. She was up 6-5, 30 love in the 1st set. She wins the 1st set. She wins her 2nd Grand Slam. The 2nd set, on serve, up 4-3. Sabalenka love 30 on serve. Coco closes out that, forces the 3rd set. Again, she lost that match on her racket. Double faults, trying a new technique with the new coach, hasn't got it down yet. Okay, who else did she lose to? Keys, Garcia, Zachary, Arena, all great elite players, right? All been in the top 10 for many, many years. 3-set matches up in the 3rd set, with the exception of Sabalenka, where she blew the 6-5, 30 love lead. Marta Kashuk, Germany, top 20 player. 3 sets, Coco's up 6-5, has a chance to serve out the match. Coco has a chance to serve out the match. Actually, she had match point in that match. Choked. On her serve. Okay, top 20 player. Her 2 losses by players not inside the top 20, very close. Anna Kalinskaya, ranked 25 in the world. 3rd set, Coco's up. Has a chance to hold on and win the match. Another 3-set match, Coco's leading. Anna Kalinskaya said, I felt the pressure from Coco's racket right up to the last point. And she's nervous. She's shaking. She's so nervous in the interview. Anna Kalinskaya said, I felt the pressure from her right up to the last point. She would not go away. You guys aren't watching the matches. You have no idea what is going on. You're listening to journalists who are just trying to get stories that aren't even watching the matches. I'm the expert. I'm watching the matches. I'm telling you what is happening in these matches. Okay? Katerina Siniakova, Coco has dominated her entire career. It's been a one-sided affair. She's dominated Katerina. Katerina beats Coco this year because Coco came into the match sick. It was reported she was not feeling well and she lost the match bad because she was sick. Okay? Those are Coco's losses this year. And in case you're not familiar, because a lot of you guys don't watch tennis, Coco has only lost 2 matches to players outside the top 40, going back to last season, and Sinyakova's one of them. What are we talking about here? Okay? Some guy in the comments said Coco doesn't belong in the big 3 because Iga has beat her consistently. Listen, you're not paying attention to what's going on. We never said Iga didn't belong in the top 3. Iga belongs in the top 3. But should Iga not belong in the top 3? Because Elena Rybakina has dominated Iga 7 times. So that doesn't make sense. Okay, if that's how you're going to compare it. But then again, if that's how you want to compare it, then Coco belongs in the top 3 because she owns the head-to-head against Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina. So that point doesn't make sense. So therefore, you cannot be a Coco fan because what you're saying contradicts itself. You sound like a hater. Okay, that does not make sense. Okay, well, one person says, well, Coco shouldn't be inside the top 3 because she's not been consistent this season. Okay, well, early on in Iga this season, I did a video with Iga where what in February, mid-February, Iga was not even qualified for the race to the finals. She was outside the top 10. So you're going to tell me Iga didn't belong in the top 3 then because she was outside of the top 10 in terms of the race to the finals, so she didn't belong in the big 3? Well, you're going to say, of course she belongs in the big 3 because she's the world's ranked number 1. Okay, well, Coco's the world's ranked number 3. So that argument holds no merit. What are we talking about, guys? You're sounding like haters over here, and you're talking about stuff that makes no darn sense, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Well, let's, rankings, okay, they come and go, whatever. One person says, well, the ranking system is flawed. They let players hold points for way too long. What is too long? Do you realize there's 4 quarters in the season? There's 4 different Grand Slams. There's literally the changing of surfaces all throughout the year. You play a tournament every year. So what would you rather? You keep the points from a tournament and lose them every 6 months? How? When you have to defend your title in that same tournament the very next season. You have to hold the points for a year. That makes no sense. What are you going to, to Arena Sabalenka lose her Australian Open points in 4 months? Come on, guys. You're sounding like idiots out here, and you're sounding like haters. You don't even make any sense. This is how bad people hate on Coco. They come up with these ridiculous arguments that make no darn sense. You're not making any sense, people. Points last too long. Are you kidding me? There's a WTA yearly finals once a year. What are you going to do? How are you going to rate a race to the finals if points last less than a year? You guys are ridiculous, man. And this type of hate only comes out for Coco. You guys are ridiculous. It's like you can't even articulate the things you say and make sense because they don't make sense. You sound like an even bigger hater, but when you show so many contradictions in the statements you say, it's just downright disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. But, let's go back since we're not going to talk about rankings. We don't want to talk about head-to-head, right? We don't want to talk about rankings or head-to-head in the big 3. Well, let's talk about age. Who in the top 10 has accomplished what Coco has by 19? Oh, wait, none of them. Not Elena Rybakina and not Arena Sabalenka. Iga is the only one that's consistent. And if you compare the championships, it's neck and neck. It's right there. But no, we're not going to talk about age because Sabalenka is 6 years older than Coco, and we don't want to go there. We don't want to talk about head-to-head because Coco owns the head-to-head against Rybakina and Sabalenka. So we can't go there. So what are we going to do? Are we going to talk about the last few seasons? I mean, we don't want to talk about last season because we all know Coco had a better last season than Sabalenka, Iga, and Rybakina. So we can't talk about last season, right? Even though the points are good for a calendar year. So we can't, that's literally 4 arguments that Coco wins on that we're just ignoring, right? So should we go back the last 2 seasons? I mean, we can even talk about this season. Coco's got more wins than Sabalenka. Elena Rybakina has more wins. She's played more tournaments. So, I mean, are we going to gauge the amount of tournaments a player plays in? I mean, you have players talking about players playing too many 250s. None of the elite players are playing 250s. Okay, so that right there tells me you're not even watching tennis. Because you're not gaining anything from a 2. You get 98 points to make it to the semifinal in a 250. You're not going to be an elite player in a top 5 playing 250s. So that tells me right there, you don't even watch tennis. I've broken down the point system and how to be a consistent player in so many videos. If you want to be an elite player, you have to do well at Masters and you have to do well at Slams. Coco's been inside the top 10 the last few seasons, going back to darn freaking 16 years old because she's been consistent in the Masters and the Slams. That's why it seems like she's been there forever, because she's always consistent. Okay. Coco's a walking quarterfinal. Okay. You look at the 8 tournaments she's played in this year. She's made at least 3 semifinal appearances, 1 final appearances, 2 quarterfinal appearances, and a round of 16. I can run all this stuff off just the tip of my tongue because I watch tennis. I know it. What are we talking about here? I already broke down the losses she's had against elite players where she's been leading in the 3rd set. So you want to know why she's losing these matches? It's because she's still pretty young and she's trying out a new serve she hasn't mastered. Go back to Rebus last year and how she played. She's got a couple more championships this year, and she wins those matches because she's already up in the 3rd set, trying new tricks. She's literally practicing in these matches, trying to do things. She's not really mastered the technique. That's darn good if you can beat. And we want to talk about the forehand because people clearly aren't watching her matches because you're still bringing up the forehand when I just showed you a 30-shot rally when she destroyed a clay veteran with over 500 wins on clay, 700 wins on the WTA. She destroyed her in a 30-shot rally with her forehand. So it's people, they listen to stuff that isn't true and they say it and they say it over and over again. And then you have guys that cover ATP come over here to the WTA side. No, you stay on the ATP side because you know what, guys, I've said it. My mix of watching tennis is about 80% WTA, 20% ATP. I'm not going to go to the ATP boasting like I'm an expert. But you don't come over here to the WTA talking about what you know, because if we go head to head, I'm going to destroy you because I got the facts. I got receipts. Okay. I got receipts. So we're not going to talk about so many things on why Coco should be inside the top 3. Let's talk about the last 3 seasons. Okay. Aryna Sabalenka, 113 wins, 45 losses. Coco, 111 wins, 45 losses. 6 titles to 5 titles. Literally neck and neck. And this girl's started 3 years ago, started the season at 16 years old. Neck and neck with Aryna Sabalenka. What are we talking about, guys? This is a 16-year-old. Elena Rybakina, last 3 seasons, 120 wins, 43 losses, 6 titles. Literally neck and neck. 3 years older than Coco. Coco started 3 seasons ago, 16 years old. Their numbers are identical. The numbers are identical. Going back 3 seasons, and we're talking about a 16-year-old girl. What are we talking about? The top earning female athlete in the world. The biggest draw right now. There's no other player on tour where we're talking about how good she's been since 15 years old, coming on the scene, making it to the 4th round of a Grand Slam final. There's no other player on tour that we have to criticize because she's that good and so young. That alone by default gets you inside the big 3. And the reality, one subscriber, he actually put it best. He said, there is no big 3. These ladies aren't Rafa, Nadal, and Roger. Get out of here. Are you crazy? They're not Serena. There is no big 3. So how about we just end this big 3 right now? And look, we all know the topic right now with the WTA, the reporters are getting a little hip, they're asking Osaka and Coco the questions about the Kendrick and Drake battle. By the way, the world's just turning on Drake. So watch out for him. He might be the next P. Diddy. But listen, guys, we all know there's no big 3. So we're gonna end this tonight. There is no big 3. It's just big Coco. There's no big 3. We're done with the big 3. There's no big 3. And I think, one of the subscribers put it best. There is no big 3. These ladies don't have 20 Grand Slams. Okay. And the reality here is, of all the points I've given you here, if there were a big 3, it's going to be based on a ranking. Because by default, Coco owns the head-to-head against Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina. So we're not going to just eliminate her because over the course of the last 3 seasons, their numbers are identical. Coco had the better last calendar year than all of them. She's 200 points behind Sabalenka. And for crying out loud, when Coco catches Sabalenka this tournament for number 2 in the world, what are we going to say then? There's a big 1.5. What are we going to do there? We're just going to, because Sabalenka's can potentially drop to 4th. Then it's going to be Iga 1, Coco 2, Rybakina 3. Well, actually, that's not going to happen because Rybakina is not playing this tournament. She withdrew. So we just going to skip over the number 2 seed if Coco passes Sabalenka this tournament. You see how the drama here, the just unfair things are. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous if you ask. It's comical, but at the end of the day, it's entertainment. It's something to talk about. But I've given you a ton of facts, and that's not even. I could give you a lot more, but people, they see what they want to see. They perceive things how they want to perceive, and it's not true. At the end of the day, none of it's true. Okay. So I've given you a lot of good points here. Let's take a look here at the remaining scores on the day. Look, we had some really good matches here. I think Rome, an amazing tournament, right? This is the good stuff. This is the good clay. And Paula Badosa, guys. I do want to talk about Paula Badosa. What do you guys think about Paula Badosa? She's playing solid, okay? I'm happy for Paula Badosa. She deserves it. She's been struggling a lot. And I think mentally she's in a good place. She's healthy. She's playing very, very well. She's got the potential to do something deep and special here in Rome. I think she deserves all of the success. She's a clay player. She's from Spain. She started behind the baseline. But a quick rundown on the day, guys. Danielle Collins, she advances over Blinkova due to injury. I don't even think they finished the set in that match. Elisa Mertens takes out Katarina. Sarah Sribas Termo takes out Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Zachary takes out Vivara. Begua Rybakina canceled because Rybakina, she has illness. I am concerned, guys. And I talked about how, Elena Rybakina, the longevity. I mean, I don't think it's going to be there, guys. I mean, if you have health issues now, a lot of times they only get worse. That's your body telling you have issues. Your body's telling you need to address things, and a lot of times they only get worse. Sabalenka's 26. 3 to 4 years, she'll be approaching 30. 3 to 4 years, Coco will be 23, 24. I can see Coco, and look, I can't wait because remember, you guys, I predicted Coco was going to win the U.S. Open. I had so many haters leading up to that. Just go watch the videos in the comments. There were so many haters saying Coco will never win a Grand Slam. Are you crazy? She's not going to win the U.S. Open. When they won it, all those haters just disappeared. They don't even come back to the channel anymore, right? So in 3 to 4 years, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen because we had a lot of subscribers really point things out for what they are. I love Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina, but I'm calling it how I see it. I'm being truthful. They've hit their peak, guys. I don't think Sabalenka at 26, she's not going to get faster, She might be able to put on a little bit more muscle, but at the same time, something's going to compromise. She'll get it slower. So the reality here is I think Sabalenka's hit her peak. And if you take a look at her, especially today, she seemed uninterested. It's going to be tough getting up for these matches, and we see what happens in women's tennis, especially nowadays in this social media digital era. When ladies get 29, 30, they want to have kids and they're thinking about doing other things, right? The game's changing. These ladies want to have kids now. 3 to 4 years from now, Coco's going to have a season where, and Iga's amazing, but I talked about how she's built up that footwork. She wasn't naturally athletic like that. She had a serious foot injury in juniors. And anyone that's ever had a serious injury, when you have a serious injury, that physical therapy, that road to recovery back, you normally come out a lot stronger and better because you're strength training as vigorously, as tough as you've ever done in your entire career. So your body's stronger. People fall off because they can't maintain that level of training and conditioning. So they fall off, they notice the decline, mentally they crumble, and they really don't get back to that level. Iga is consistent because, and her previous coach said Iga doesn't have this crazy training schedule. Like, she doesn't train harder than a lot of the other players he's coached. This is what her former coach said, the one that's with Shelby Rogers now. I forget his name right now. So, what I think with Iga, since she's worked up that from working hard in the gym, I think I think she's about at her peak. I think she's making changes, which is what I like about her game. She is proactive and she's making adjustments. But I can see her in terms of upside. By far, Coco's got the best upside because we can see the things she's struggling with and the things she's working on, and she's still so darn good. She's still so good, and we see she's not where she wants to be yet. She by far has the best upside, and when she gets going 3 to 4 years from now, she's going to have years where she's winning 2 to 3 slams. She could possibly even win all of them because she's good on all surfaces. She's good on hard. She's good on clay. She's good on grass, right? We could see years, a 3 to 4 year span where she's running off 9 to 12 grand slams. Yes, it can happen. And in particular, maybe 3 to 6 years where she could run off 9 to 12 slams, and then next thing you know, she's knocking on the door. She's knocking on the door. Serena Williams, is anyone home, Serena? It's possible, guys. Let's get back to the rest of the scores, and we're going to cover the matches tomorrow. Again, I was going to upload the other matches, but listen, it's about Coco tonight. Coco conversation. Sakkari looks good. I love what I'm saying with Sakkari. She takes out Vavara. Sophia Big Game Kinnan is back. She takes out Ons. Arena Big U takes out Dodin due to retirement. Elena Ostapenko takes out Potapova. Anna Kalinskaya takes out the hard-hitting Clara Tauson. Look at Clara Tauson, top-ranked junior, right? She was in that class with Marta Kostyuk, Leylah Fernandez, struggling. You guys take Coco for granted. Clara Tauson was supposed to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. And the same with Marta Kostyuk. Marta said earlier this year in February when Iga wasn't even in the race to the finals that was the big three. So if Iga was struggling and she wasn't even in the race to the finals because she was outside the top 10 in terms of points on the calendar year, I mean, how is she still inside the top 10? Because year over year, she's ranked number 1. So year over year, Coco's ranked number 3. She's 200 points from being ranked number 2. She's in the big 3 by far. Caroline Garcia takes out Elizabeth. Vika takes out Magdalene. Diana Yastremka, who I had in my personal pick, 3-1 underdog. I had her beating Laura Sigmund. That was a complete mismatch. Too strong. Svitolina takes out Sarah Irani. Sabalenka comes back in 3, takes out Valinet. Shramkova takes out Bolter in straight sets. That was my other play of the day, underdog. And Mayer Shreve takes out Jasmine Follini. I did know Mayer would win that match, but what did I say? I said take the total right on that. Yes, I take the total, which that came in easily. But, guys, comment below, and listen, here's the thing with comments, okay, no insults. You gotta, when you're insulting, you're taking away from your argument, and you're just being a troll, okay? Comment in an intelligent manner. It can't just be, because, they're having a better season. You can't do that because a season's a body of work, right? Just like when Iga wasn't qualifying for the race to the finals, you can't just do that and say she's not in the big 3 because she's still ranked number 1, right? It's as simple as that. I gave you so many points. I mean, are we looking at the matches? Coco's literally, her losses have come to the best of the best, the elite players on tour. They've all gone 3 sets, and she's been up in the 3rd set in each of those matches with a chance to hold on and win the matches. Are we looking at the facts? Right? You ever see those stats in those teams in basketball or football where, a team gets into the playoffs and, they have so many losses by 1 or 2 points or less, and then they play someone who they're just looking at the record. They haven't watched the matches or the games. They don't really know how good the team is. They're just looking at the losses, but they haven't realized that All of those losses have come by like 1 or 2 points. They've been up in a lot of those matches. They've been leading to hold on and win those matches. And then they upset this quote unquote paper favorite. And now everyone's a believer. Well, that was Coco last year at the US Open when I told you guys she would win it, right? How Yelena Ostapenko has just dominated Iga Swiatek. How Elena Rybakina has dominated Iga Swiatek, but Coco has dominated Elena Ostapenko. She's dominated Rybakina at the time they played. She's dominated Arena Sabalenka. And I've talked about how Coco also gets a lot of hate because she's so young and so popular. You know, anyone that has competed and you have these young stars coming up, a lot of times, rookies are used to getting hazed. They're used to getting that rookie treatment. Look at LeBron James when he came into the league. He was holding the older players' bags. Kobe Bryant, holding these players' gym bags. That new sensation, that new rookie hype, a lot of times people don't want to give them credit because it takes away from what you've accomplished at your age, especially when you're 6 years older than someone. A lot of good points there. Interesting. Food for thought, guys. Sip on that tea. Tennis in a minute. I'm your host, Good Energy. But hey, it's nighttime here. It's evening, so tennis after dark. Thanks for all the love and support, guys. Hit the super thanks, like the video, show some love. And again, these videos, it's entertainment at the end of the day. This is just a game. All of these ladies are amazing. We love all of them. They're all talented. We're not here to discredit any lady. The point of these Coco videos is we want a fair argument with Coco, okay? Because I see, in terms of the ex-players and players that cover the game, they all say great things about Coco. I've never heard any of them say anything bad about Coco. They all say Coco's amazing. She's the future of tennis. She's going to win. She's got the fastest feet. She's the best defender. She closes out the best. She's going to win numerous Grand Slams. It's the journalists and the part-time bloggers that don't actually watch the matches that may cater to another player, or or they know Coco's a big story, and they know it's going to gain controversy and it's going to get views and likes, so therefore she's an easy target, just put it that way. That's really what it is. And Coco addressed it when she won the US Open tournament. She said, look, thank you to all my haters, you motivate me. There's no way she should have, I feel, taken the time out to address the haters in her moment, but it's necessary because I can tell you, as someone that covers her matches, she gets a lot of hate, and in some of the comments I can't even let post because they're negative, and some of them are racist comments. I've seen a lot of them come through. Yeah, I do, and again, it shouldn't be about that. It should be about the game and the numbers. You have to compare the numbers. And I don't think people are really comparing the numbers, because if you're comparing the numbers, you can't ignore the head to head. If you're comparing the numbers, you can't ignore what's happened the last calendar year, which is still relevant in terms of the yearly rankings. You can't ignore this stuff. And the problem is they're ignoring it by looking at statistics that don't tell the full story. It's like people don't realize Coco's not getting beat in these matches. She's beating herself, but like no one realizes that. I bet none of you guys knew that 5 of her 7 losses have come to top players, and she's been up in all those matches. No one knows this stuff because they're not watching the matches. They're just thinking that she's losing. No, she's trying a new serve and she can't get it down. She can't get it down. And I told you what I think she needs to do. She needs to hire a mechanics coach. She needs to do what Sabalenka did. Get a mechanics coach, tweak that. But you know what? It's also going to be bittersweet because it's like we want to see this story. We want to see this play out. Do we really want to see her go out and just dominate like Serena? We want to see her struggle for a little bit. We want, because that US Open championship, I'm telling you guys, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. When Coco won the US Open, I was probably happy for I'm still happy, to be honest with you, like 4 months straight, just waking up every day like Coco's the champ, Coco's the champ. All right, side note, in case you guys don't know, Giving someone a compliment or doing someone nice, could be a stranger, a family member, someone you love. There's studies at Yale University that prove that just giving someone a compliment can extend your own happiness by up to 4 to 6 weeks. Just saying, hey, have a great day, your hair looks beautiful. Saying something nice to someone. All the love that Coco received from winning the US Open was just so amazing. And thank you guys for all the love and support. Guys, I'm going to sign off. We'll be back tomorrow with more tennis coverage. I'll do a prediction video. Stay tuned for that. I'll do that a little later. But like the video, show some love. Enjoy the conversation. It's all entertainment. All these ladies are all amazing. But you better come here with the receipts. We'll be right back, guys. Enjoy.